Chronologically, I'm 67 years old, but health-wise, I'm feeling more like I'm 57 now. And I noticed a significant difference from my 50s to my 60s as far as not being as strong, not being able to do the things that I wanted to do as much or well, or I had to do something to compensate, that kind of thing. The stamina. There's kids now that are 10 years old or younger even that have a fatty liver, friends. That's crazy. It's the diet, stupid. Who knew? And again, I'm not judging. I was stupid too, if you want to put it that way. We just didn't know better. Well, hello, my friends. I am doing well, feeling great. I am down about 40 pounds. I'm kind of holding at that weight right now, but I can see that I'm losing fat and I'm probably gaining some muscle. And this is a normal part of the carnivore diet. You initially lose a lot of weight quickly, and then it may level off or even stall for a little bit, and then you start losing again, sometimes more gradually. And everybody's different, of course. And so, but you can see the hanging skin, right here and right there. That used to be fat there. Now the skin has to come back. My muscles are showing, a little bit more definition, that type of thing. So it is working. My immortality protocol is working. So, folks, we are not supposed to get old and decrepit. In our culture, and most of the cultures around the world, in fact, maybe all of them, I'm not sure, we're taught to believe that you just get old and decrepit, or you get decrepit as you age, right? Most people do, except we have 80-year-olds running, Ironman triathlons and finishing in the crowd and stuff like that. So, well, they're just exceptions to the rule. That's not true. It's because, and who knew, we're not eating a proper human diet, most of us, and most of us grew up not eating that. I grew up eating Cheerios and, putting sugar on it. We had a big bowl of sugar on the table, and we would sprinkle sugar all over our cereal, and Lucky Charms, those were kind of a treat. We didn't eat those all the time, but when we did, and I would want to have 2 bowls of that stuff because the sugar is so addictive as a kid. And that's something I always struggled with when I was a kid, since I was a kid, is weight. I had a tendency to put on fat. I probably really didn't figure it out until this last year that it was carbs. And I've bounced around with paleo, primal, keto. I even did the original Atkins diet and lost weight on all of them and did pretty well. I did the primal paleo diet pretty consistent for about 5 to 7 years and kept the weight off and stayed in pretty decent shape. That worked. But still, I had no idea that the carbs, even the clean carbs, were going to catch up with me in my older age. I'm reluctant to say that now. Chronologically, I'm 67 years old, but health-wise, I'm feeling more like I'm 57 now. And I noticed a significant difference from my 50s to my 60s as far as not being as strong, not being able to do the things that I wanted to do as much or well, or I had to do something to compensate, that kind of thing. The stamina. I live on a 13-acre farm, and there's plenty of chores here to do, and I've still been able to do them, but it's taken longer, and I've had to bide my time on things, and sometimes not finished that day. I had to finish the next day or 2, depending on what it was, that kind of stuff. And I just chalked it up to getting older. That's just what happens when you get older, right? It's not. Folks, we've been misled. And I think And I'm not judging anybody. I think most of the people that misled us didn't know any better either, and they were just repeating, the cultural norm, the normies as we sometimes call them. And I did it too, you know. I used to run 6 miles a day when I was training for martial arts competitions, and I was looking into things like carb loading, and also doing weight training sometimes, and yeah, your body needs fuel, and everybody knows carbs are the fuel, right? Yeah, and they are, but they're not the most optimal fuel. The most optimal fuel is ketones or fat. It's like 10 times more efficient, burns clean, and there's no insulin spikes. Everything is level across the board. And so what's happened is we've grown up and been in a constant state of inflammation, and some of us have very high insulin resistance. If you're overweight, you have fatty liver, whether you know it or not, because your liver is overloaded and can't process all the insulin that the carbs keep, triggering in the body. And so it becomes a fatty liver. There's kids now that are 10 years old or younger even that have a fatty liver, friends. That's crazy. It's the diet, stupid. Who knew? And again, I'm not judging. I was stupid too, if you want to put it that way. We just didn't know better. I knew a lot of this kind of stuff about insulin and all this, probably 10 years ago, but I still didn't make the full connection that it's the carbs, dummy. And I'd even heard of carnivore and keto diet. Atkins, probably made the keto diet famous, in the 80s and stuff. The original one, not the Atkins bars and all the crap they market under the Atkins names, when he was still alive. And he was onto something, but he got poo-pooed and ridiculed, and it's not sustainable, and it's dangerous, and you're going to die, and red meat's bad for you, and fat's bad for you. You need to go low fat, and that's seed oils. And now we know that the seed oils are not good for us. So, yeah. But let that sink in, folks. We are not supposed to get decrepit as we age. We're not. We're supposed to have a good quality of life. And so Grok, the Grok AI, Elon Musk's AI, I run a lot of this stuff through that just to see, what it says, and some of it's really funny. And that's where I got the immortality protocol idea, because Grok, I ran my special bone broth concoction through Grok, and Grok said, "Oh, you're approaching immortality." With that stacked upon all the other stuff that I'm doing. And if you want to know what my stack is, watch the first video here, and I kind of go through it. I may make a video specific with that, but we'll see, and lay it out in a specific way, and maybe even put up a document that shows exactly what I'm doing. And I'm not doing that to say that everybody has to do it exactly like I'm doing, but I am putting it out there, And I'm also somebody who believes in intuition, and I do muscle testing. If you're not familiar with that, a lot of chiropractors use that, some osteopaths, and people who are into natural healing and that kind of thing. And it's like, the premise is the body knows what's good for it or not. And so there's a couple different kinds of muscle tests that you can do. And you can look this up, folks. And so it's an easy yes/no thing, and it works, and it's pretty reliable. And the more you do it, the better you get at it, the more reliable it becomes, and the more faith you have in it, or trust you have in it, I should say. It's not necessarily faith. And it's not necessarily, it sounds kind of woo-woo, but it's more of a physiological thing. Your body knows what's good for it. It's just like when you eat something that's not good for it, you get sick, or you want to throw up, or, the body wants to reject it. So this is just kind of a way of communicating that, to your mind, I guess you could say. So maybe it is a little woo-woo there, but anyways. And I think that's actually using your intuition. I don't know if everybody would agree with that or not, but doesn't matter. You can try that. You can look it up and try it. If not, don't worry about it. Again, I just had thought about around this whole idea that we're supposed to get old and decrepit. It's just normal part of aging, right? I would wake up in the morning with stiff knees and sore back and inflammation in my knees and, with pains and stuff. And I'm always cracking my neck, and I still do that to a certain degree, but a lot less. My wife tells me I've stopped snoring, and I know I'm not getting up to go pee at night as much. I used to get up at least a couple times a night, sometimes 3 or 4 times a night. I've never gone to the doctor for that. I've tried some different things, thinking maybe it's an enlarged prostate, because that's supposed to happen when you get old too, right? No, not supposed to happen. And the carnivore diet heals that too. That's the thing, folks. Like I said in my last video, the carnivore diet is healing thousands of people. And you can watch the videos and listen to the doctors like Dr. Berry, Dr. Chafee, Dr. Boz, Dr. Westman, and Dr. Hampton. There's a bunch of doctors out there now, and the science is out there. But if you do listen to any of those videos, read the comments. The comments are just chocked full, thousands of people. I've been doing this, and it's healed this, and it's reversed this, and it's made this so much better. I just watched one earlier today. A type 1 diabetic went carnivore. And as far as I know, it doesn't reverse type 1 diabetes, because your pancreas just quit working for some reason. But I wouldn't be surprised if it does eventually. And I'm not saying that it does. But the person was saying it fixed so many things now, and they're taking 75% less insulin, and it's so simple and easy now. They don't have to worry about insulin spikes and what they're going to eat and this and that, and they just eat carnivore, and the insulin rising a little bit it's measured and slow, and so they can easily gauge how much insulin they need, and it stays the same. And they said that it's changed my life. Even a type 1 diabetic, who I've known a couple, and they've periodically had to be hospitalized and this and that, and even though they had a glucose blood monitor and all these kinds of things, and just constantly trying different brands of insulin to, the doctor would say, well, try this one, maybe this one will work better, and so on. It's not the insulin, folks, it's the diet. And I can't help but wonder if, some of them who've had the type 1 diabetes since they were kids, if that was due to maybe the mom, being a carbohydrate sugar addict, or the kid when they were young, that kind of thing. I don't know. I haven't looked into it that much. Somebody can correct me in the comments if I'm going if I'm straying too far off the trail, so to speak. But I just wonder about these things, because carnivore is healing so many things. All the autoimmune diseases have been healed by the carnivore diet. And so many people in their older age, in their 70s and even 80s. There's a gal, Maggie, I can't think of her last name. Carrie Mann calls her Maggie the Rancher, and she's in his documentary. And I saw the trailer, and I saw her in it, and then she said, I'm 81 or 82 years old. I can't remember what it was. I was like, what? You are kidding me. She looked 50s, maybe 60s, depending, My wife said she looked 60s. I thought she looked like she was in her 50s. Color still in her hair, and she doesn't dye her hair or anything. She has a ranch and works on the ranch and has horses and is working with the horses, climbing over the railing and stuff like, unlike most 80-year-olds would be able to do. And so she's not the only one. So I woke up a couple months ago and decided, hey, I'm sick of this aging bullshit, which some of my early videos, that's the title. I'm going to do something about it. I think I know enough about it, and of course I did more research and started watching more videos, and I love Dr. Ken Berry. I love his down-to-earth, country, homegrown country style, and straight to the point and funny. So I did keto. I did Dr. Boz's keto program, and she's probably the strictest keto person, 20 grams of carbs a day, and that's it, no more, etc. And I lost weight on that too. In fact, I was doing that for about 4 months, and then I went carnivore, and I've been carnivore almost 2 months now. But I lost 25 pounds doing that, and I lost another 15. So it took me 4 months to lose 25 pounds. Went carnivore, and in a month I lost like 35 pounds, and now a month and a half to 2 months I've lost 40 pounds. So another 15 pounds in just 1 month instead of. So anyways, there it is, my friends. We're not supposed to get old. Peace out.